Hello. Before we get started, I shall give you the immediate context to the video. There was once a faction led by the user known as Goldie Senpai, that on every server would role play as Britain, or something similar. In the server prior to the one being covered now, i.e. the Art of War 3, this was no exception with the group playing as the British Empire in that server. However, this is where our story begins, near the end of that server due to South Korea surrendering without due notice to the rest of Blue 4. And an incident involving being spawn camped by a certain faction. Britain would rage quit that server. However, while this outcome is disputed by the former leader, the spirit of defeat and humiliation however would fuel them into the next iteration, which would be World War I themed, where they once again played as the British Empire, only this time they would have more members in their faction, and a divided enemy house, with their main opponents from the Art of War 3 being split into two factions, the Ottoman Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They would first seek to crush the Ottomans as part of a retribution and humiliation campaign, and as a way to reenact Gallipoli. But first they decide to conquer the Sinai and its numerous Ottoman fortifications. They would start by trying to take over the tower but run into a small amount of resistance. Clearing the ground floor of defenders, the British would in short order storm the tower. Then they would promptly set up a warp on the very top of the tower for use as a forward operating base. Afterwards, the server would momentarily restart. Then the British would go on to claim to the province flag to secure the north. After claiming the Sinai province fully, the British Army would march south to capture the remaining two outposts and silence Ottoman resistance in the area. So, at this point you might be asking the question, where is all the Ottoman manpower? Well, they decided to hyper-focus on trying to invade Greece, instead leaving 3 of their guys to defend their southern fronts. I don't know why they did this specifically, but I assume it's because they assumed the British to be too incapable of conquering their base. Speaking of the British, after they won on the southern front, they decided to launch a massive Gallipoli-like invasion into Mersin province. Landed on the beach, the server started to get laggy, and because the area was not deforested, the Ottomans would use swords to hold off the British instead of wasting their limited guns. Despite the Ottomans' best attempts, the British would eventually break their lines and manage to reach their forward operating base in the area via a combination of cheese and pure manpower. But on the contrast, the Greek front was going well and was the only thing preventing a total morale collapse of the Ottomans, although the Greeks had not responded in full force yet. However, the Ottomans managed to capture a British armored car and would turn the car against its former owners in the areas outside of the Mersin forest. lose the armored car due to getting kicked out of the server. However, he would be back with a vengeance. After that fiasco, a plane would harass the British, as they were on the verge of capturing the province flag, only to disappear after 2 runs on them and never be seen again ever. There it goes to never be seen again. The British would keep persevering through Anatolia. However, they would be faced with a major roadblock. The Ottomans would bring another captured car, and this time it would be with a vengeance never seen before, because the British didn't have any anti-armor with them. Eventually the British would bring out both another armored car and a howitzer to try and deal with the captured car. However, neither of these would work out super well for the British.
Ludicrous kill.
Okay, seriously, that was a ridiculous team kill. What was bro thinking? Anyways, the armored car would make an organized retreat, presumably to rearm. However, it wouldn't be seen again at all, thus marking an end to one British roadblock. But now they just need to get it by shooting at them. There he goes. With the armored car and skirmishers gone, the British would keep claiming and keep moving forward, getting closer and closer to taking the Ottoman capital minute by minute. Then the Ottomans set up a forward operating base outside of their main base to try and stop the British advance, with much futility, given that the British were spawn camping. And as well, the Greek front was also collapsing because the Greeks finally sent in their forces to clear out the undermanned Ottoman invasion. The Ottomans also had their backs to the wall. With the British swarming Bursa, there was little hope left for the Ottoman defensive effort. And with the British capturing the main province flag of the Ottoman base, it would soon be all over. While losing the base was crippling morale-wise for the Ottomans, they apparently captured Egypt off-camera. Although because I didn't have more footage of it, I personally went back in my archive world to check, and it didn't succeed in the long term, with the British taking it back presumably before the end of war. However, the fall of Bursa wouldn't be the end of the war. Remnants of the Ottomans would still continue to resist near Istanbul's mosque while trying to stop the British swarm. However, because the area was basically an open field, minus the mosque, the British would have the firepower advantage and would advance as fast as the claimed flags could raise. Despite the Ottomans' best efforts, the British would quickly seize the mosque and, like their real-life counterparts, plunder it of its treasures. With no Ottoman warp tent at all, the British would be able to capture the province flag in peace. Ignore this awkward jump cut, but there isn't any British footage from between the capture of Istanbul and war's end. However, with that said, war officially ended late in the day, after hours of fighting. After the First War, Britain and Greece would claim a decisive victory against the Ottomans. The Ottoman defeat proved to be so demoralizing that they decided to merge with Austria-Hungary, who also suffered hard against a French-German offensive, which will be covered about more in the next episode. However, this wouldn't be the end of the server. There was still another week of action, and one more dispute between Britain and another nation. This is the Gibraltar front. And initially Britain was invading Iberia from it and was doing moderately well. However, due to severe lag issues the server was having, the total player cap was lowered in the middle of war. This screwed Britain over, as they were not able to log on fast enough, and thus suffered a loss of manpower when it needed it the most. As such, Gibraltar was quickly overrun by Iberian troops, who took their chance when they had it. While the British would attempt a desperate defense of the area, it would all be in vain. Although the British tried the classic running at your enemies with hammers strategy, it didn't work, and Iberia would successfully take the British's working building, thus effectively securing Gibraltar. After taking Gibraltar, the Spanish would celebrate with a victory feast, although I don't know what happened with the British. All I know is that during the ultra-laggy final war, they intervened in both Germany and the Hejaz to stop the Austro-Hungarians. After the iteration, Goldie would play 2 more iterations, nearly managing to conquer another faction in the first, before rage quitting due to his factories getting bombed by the Art of War 4 Austrians, and having all of his progress on the server wiped, and only making a brief cameo appearance in Gallencraft 1. Afterwards he would soon depart from Minecraft, eventually waiting for another mod pack, like the Art of War 4, while spending most of his time on Hearts of Iron 4. To this very day, he still lurks on Hearts of Iron, waiting for the right time to return.